You were the first real professional racing driver in the sense that you were conscious of wanting to earn a living, and you were conscious with Ken Gregory managing you of trying to maximise your earning potential away from the racing car. Sadly, you weren't around in the big television sponsorship boom. That was left to Jackie Stewart and others. But nonetheless, you did okay. So how many different businesses would you say now you've been associated with in your career, in your life?
In a sponsorship way, quite a lot. I mean, I even did one for hair pieces, if you can believe it. I mean, you know, if you pay me, I'll do it, sort of thing. But a sort of international whore, if you like. But no, I mean, the thing about racing, it's a sport really that one needs to be in because it's pretty fast moving. And I enjoyed the atmosphere. You know, the fact that I had to retire was a damn nuisance. I mean, I'd had 32 years of my life, you know, really enjoying myself, and then suddenly I have to work for a living. It's not the same thing.
Britain, the United Kingdom's always been important to you. We've got a lovely spot here where we're chatting, just not far away from Hyde Park Corner. Your thoughts on England today and the world in general, politically?
I could never go into politics. I feel it's a thing that you know people do. It's certainly something that's never attracted me in any way. Unless it was a dictatorship, then I might have made my way for that. But you know, but life in general, to me, I think I've had a fantastic life. I mean, I started at the age of 17 in the sport that brought everything to me. I was successful. I mean, the money in those days quite different. I mean, I made about the same money as a really good Queen's Counsel, you know, and that was very good. I mean, you know, I had my expenses as well. But the life it gave me, the opportunity to go around, chase girls, enjoy racing cars and everything, it was something I couldn't find anywhere else.
Chasing and living quickly in the sense that you don't waste a lot of time it still subjugates your life today, I would suggest. I mean, you don't sleep in. You do take quite a few cruises now. What do you do on those cruises?
It's a good point. All I know is I go on the cruises and I obviously work out a bit and eat too much and try and get the sunshine. So no, it's just an enjoyable time to spend with my wife and friends that we normally go with, and it's just complete relaxation. I mean, I do quite a lot of design stuff because I'm interested in various gadgets and what have you. It's just I suppose doing something completely different to what I do each day.
And you still live in the same house that you built from a bomb site in the early 60s?
It was the last bomb site in Mayfair, and I was lucky enough to buy this and built the house I've got, which I built then with my office was there as well. And of course, since then I've had a couple of other wives, which means I've had to modify it, you know, to please head office. And I must say it's very central, it's very quiet, and it's just what I want.
And of course, gadgetry changes all the time. How much do you enjoy keeping on top of that, of what you can do and what is feasible?
Well, I've often thought, I wonder how much I'd like the racing that there is today. Being able to talk to the pits, I think, is fantastic, you know. I mean, which reminds me, actually, one time I'm going around Montlhéry doing a record attempt, you know, 24 hours for a week. And we had the first intercom by Pi. And I saw a girl, I thought, boy, that looks all right. So I called in, I said, you know, what's the crumpet like? They said, oh, pretty good. This is. So every time I go back, blow her a kiss, you see, every 2.5 miles or whatever. And then when I went in, boy, I can tell you, sure different doing 120 miles an hour to being stationary. It didn't work out.
Well, a little bit like a lot of Hitchcock movies are based on somebody missing a phone call that would have saved their lives. And if they had a mobile phone, this film would never have happened. I guess from your point of view, when you were racing, if you'd had fantastic communication at all times, quite a few races might well have been different in terms of tyre wear, what the opposition were doing, gaps to others, certainly Portugal and the fastest lap business.
But I think, yes, certainly the word disadvantages, but I must say, being in at that time, I really did enjoy it because we could use tactics, you know, when the other people were stopping for tyres and I wasn't going to, Alf would go out, pretend that here's a jack and there's a wheel, and they're all thinking, well, he's going to change, so it takes too long. And, you know, so it was a wonderful time, you know. I mean, it's just a shame that we didn't have the technology they've got today, but then I'm not sure it is. Maybe I don't know that they actually enjoy their racing as much today. I mean, in my day, remember, Formula One races were all 3 hours minimum. Now they're, an hour, 10 minutes to go in with television. And that does make a big difference. And also, I was racing every week because I did sports cars as well and touring cars. Now, of course, the drivers don't. I don't think their agreements with their sponsors would allow that.
And in your mind, that clearly translates into, do they enjoy it as much? Because they're not actually in a racing car as much as you were.
No, nowhere near as much, because I was racing every week and I was testing as well. I think, Vettel, I think he enjoys it. But then he's winning. It's much easier to be happy when you're winning than if you're losing, you know. And he is a terrific driver. I mean, I think, you know, nobody anywhere near him yet. I think Alonso maybe is pretty close, and, you know, a few others. But
you don't go to many Grand Prix. I mean, how many Grand Prix might you go to this year, do you think?
I just go to one, the British Grand Prix. Otherwise, I watch all of them, because on that I, you know, get the benefit of the commentator telling me who's what and what's happening and everything else, you know. And he does a very good job.
But when you go to the British Grand Prix and perhaps you meet Sebastian Vettel or Fernando Alonso, how is the relationship? How do they treat you, and what sort of questions do they ask, or vice versa?
Well, they probably know who I am, I suppose, but no, I don't know that many drivers now, because I'm never really with them. You know, I mean, if you go to events, then obviously you know them and you go and see them and so on in their pits. I mean, now that doesn't happen but once a year at the British Grand Prix.
Which is a shame in a way. When you think of other sports, the Rod Lavers, the Jack Nicklauses could walk onto any golf course in the world, and the top 30 young golfers would probably know their biographies intimately and be able to, or tennis players, and be able to talk to them in some sort of fashion. I
think there are certain fans in motor racing who certainly do know an awful lot about more today racing, I must admit, than when I was doing it, because after all, I mean, they'd only just got rid of solid tyres when I was out there, so it was a different era altogether.